Tonight we're going to be making an oxtail stew, however you want to look at it. And we're going to jump right into it. The pan's nice and hot. So I've got the oxtail. I'm going to sear it off first. Oh yeah, it's nice and hot. Now, it's not really oxtail. This is actually cow tail. A lot of cartilage, nice meat. It's going to be really tough to chew, except for the way we're going to cook it. I'm going to cook this is going to simmer for roughly around 3 hours or so, tenderizing it, and I'll pull it off what bone there is and all that, and just save what meat's in there for the stew itself. I've got a nice amount of ingredients that are going to go with this. It's going to be built in stages. The main thing I'm doing right now, just searing it off to give some nice flavor to the to everything. I will not add salt to this because I want it to reduce a little bit as it's cooking too, and if I reduce that salt then it'll come out too salty. So we're going to cook this until it's pretty close to done, check the flavor, pull the meat off the bone, and see where we are. Got a nice hard sear going on our oxtail. Now, do some onions. Give these a second. So, a little bit of onion and garlic. Add in some carrots. I've cut this all just a little bit thicker than you would normally for soup, mainly because as long as this is all going to cook, it could disappear, just be cooked completely out. I want it to still have a little bit of substance when we're done. So yeah, a little bit bigger pieces. Also cooking this at a higher temperature just because I want it to sear really good. I want it to caramelize a little bit, get a nice sear, like hard sear on that we have on the meat, to add more flavor to the soup. The last thing we're going to add into this right here is mushroom. Now, the nice thing about a soup or a stew is basically it's stuff that you would do to clean out your fridge. That's the way they were made originally. There might be actual oxtail soup recipes, but that's not what we're doing. We're doing what we want to do. Why? Because that's what we want to do. So these might just some simple ingredients. The nice oxtail. We're going to make a nice soup now. These are getting about where I want them to go to get cooking. So we're going into some herbs. I like to rub them between my hands like this because the oils of your hand help to activate the flavors in the herbs. And because I'm doing dry herbs, the sooner you put them in, the more flavor you'll get out of them. Okay. Next, it's sour month. Using the sour that I've been working, this is about a 6 months old sour. It's got a hint of the sour in it, but a stronger hint of Brett. Nice to deglaze with. That alcohol in there will actually help deglaze, get all the stuff off the bottom, add a little bit more flavor. Now, add in the meat. So, and add in some stock. There we go. 3/4 to covering on the meat is usually where you want to go when you're doing a braise, and that's what this is. So we're going to let this come up to a boil, and then we'll cover it and let it simmer for a few hours till the meat is tender. It's been about 3 hours now. The oxtail is actually ready, and it's really hot, so I'm not going to touch it with my fingers right now. But I want to strip the meat off, which is nice. It's really tender. And I am going to end up having to touch it.
give up. Use my fingers. Get as much of that meat off there as I can. I'm going to do that with all these pieces. Just like so. Yeah. But yeah, it's like falling apart tender. This is really warm. Ow. Okay, that's hot. And you do want to do it when it's a little bit warm. It's easier to pull apart that way. Just be careful because it is going to be hot and you're going to burn your fingers. But, alright, kind of got the gist of what's going on here. Basically, once I've got all the meat stripped off, you have these little chunks like this. Just run a knife through it a little bit, break it up. And then these will go right back in the pot for the soup. Okay, now we've got the meat added back in. Mix it up really good. Now, we could have cooked potatoes in this, could have done rice, all sorts of things we could have done. I'm using bulgur wheat in this. You could do barley. I mean, the possibilities for a starter are endless. All sorts of stuff you could use. But, just a nice little soup for a nice cold winter day. And here we go with the plate up. We got a bowl of soup.